What if the bottles you throw away every day could become the most beautiful part of your garden? Welcome to Archon Aesthetic Studio, where ordinary things turn into extraordinary inspirations. Today, you'll see how upcycled bottles can frame your tiny garden, transform your small patio, and bring character to even the most limited spaces. Chapters are available below, so feel free to skip to what you need. And if you have questions, the comment section is always open. And before we dive in, just know this. Maybe to you, I'm just another voice online. But behind this project is a real person and a real family. This isn't just a DIY video. It's a piece of my story. Every like, every comment, every subscribe keeps this dream going. And for that, thank you for being here. Thank you for seeing me. One recycled bottle garden border. Sometimes, the most beautiful details come from what we once considered waste. In the quiet of a backyard garden, plastic bottles, once tossed aside, now stand proudly. Reborn, transformed. Their colors glisten beneath the gentle warmth of morning light, creating borders not just of plastic, but of purpose. Lined along the edge of fresh basil and ripe tomatoes, they echo the rhythm of growth, of renewal. These aren't just borders, they are small acts of restoration. Each bottle, once forgotten, is now part of something alive. A curve of green and clear containers traces the soil like a ribbon. It doesn't take much. Just your hands, a little time, and a willingness to see beauty where others don't. And then, there are moments of whimsy. In another corner of a tiny yard, pastel-painted soda bottles rise like playful totems. Lavender, mint, soft pink, colors so gentle, they seem to whisper. They cradle marigolds and petunias, their blooms dancing softly in the breeze. The bottles, turned upside down, hold them like guardians, reminding us that elegance doesn't come from price, but from intention. Walk further, and a more artistic arrangement emerges. Shampoo bottles, juice bottles, each filled with colored water, stand like luminous lanterns along the herbs. Orange, blue, red, they catch the sunlight, scatter it onto oregano leaves and sprigs of thyme. It feels magical, but it's real, tangible, achievable. You don't need a big yard. You don't need expensive tools. You only need vision and a belief that small things, humble things, can build something beautiful. This is not just about gardening. It's about reclaiming, about noticing what we've been told to ignore. So if you're looking for a quiet project, one that calms your hands and fills your space with color and soul, maybe start with a bottle. Maybe two. See what happens when you give it a new home, just outside your door. Let this be your permission to begin. Two, upcycled bottle edge for small patio. Sometimes, all a space needs is intention, not more square feet. In a quiet patio corner, where string lights flicker against the wall and succulents lean into the evening glow. Something unexpected draws your eye. A border made not of stone or wood, but of simple shampoo bottles. Filled with white pebbles, they light up gently like lanterns in the dusk. It's soft, it's subtle, and it works, not just because it's beautiful, but because it was made by hand. No one told these bottles they were done serving a purpose. And in that lies the quiet charm of this design. It's calming, it's clever, it's yours to recreate. Follow the edge of another path, and you'll find rhythm in black and white. Bottles once destined for the bin now stand boldly, hand-painted in clean geometric patterns, dots, lines, chevrons. They echo the shapes of the patio bricks beneath your feet, complementing the lavender that sways gently nearby. A table and chair wait at the end of the path, inviting you to sit, sip, and admire what you made, not what you bought. And then, in a sunlit corner, wine bottles lie quietly, necks pointing outward, their green glass catching the warmth of late afternoon sun. Around them, terracotta pots cradle geraniums and snapdragons in full bloom. The bottles form a silent frame, not seeking attention, but offering structure. They're earthy, grounding, like the stones beneath your feet. There's a kind of peace in this kind of project. You don't need expensive tools. You don't need the perfect yard. You just need to start, to see what's in your hands, to believe that what was once thrown away could still carry beauty and hold space for something to grow. And maybe, just maybe, that story isn't only about the bottles. Three, trash to treasure backyard fence accents. There's a kind of beauty that only comes from second chances. Along an old wooden fence, the evening settles in quietly. Bottles, clear, familiar, once forgotten, now glow softly in the fading light. Suspended like lanterns, they carry warmth, not just from the solar lights inside, but from the intention behind them. Each one tells a story of a bottle once discarded, now shining with quiet dignity, guarding a pathway of stepping stones as the stars begin to appear. This isn't expensive. It isn't hard, but it is something magical. Further down the fence line, color erupts in a different way. What once were bottle caps and plastic cuttings now flow together like a painted tide. An ocean captured in bits of blue, white, and red. Fishes swim through plastic waves. A sun shines with spokes made from soda lids. It's not just decoration, it's art born from waste. A reminder that what we throw away still has something left to give. And then, the gentlest expression of all. Hanging against a time-worn fence, humble plastic bottles cradle life once more. Their surfaces hand-painted with flowers, daisies, violets, roses, softly echoing the real blossoms that now grow from their open tops. They sway slightly in the breeze. Pansies peek out. Daisies stretch toward the sun. No one would guess they started as trash. These accents may seem simple, but they whisper something powerful. That beauty doesn't always begin as beautiful. That transformation is not only possible, it's closer than you think. Right there in your recycling bin, waiting. So if you have a fence that feels too plain, or a corner that feels too forgotten, perhaps this is your invitation. To not just decorate, but to redeem, to renew. And in doing so, maybe you'll find something in yourself that shines again, too. 4. DIY bottle pergola planter edging. Every garden has its rhythm. Sometimes it's soft. Sometimes it blooms in unexpected places. Beneath the wooden arms of a pergola, flowers bloom not from pots bought in stores, but from bottles once held in hands, once emptied and discarded. Now painted, arranged, and planted with care, they stand again, with a new story to tell. The bottles, coated in soft pastels, line the edges like whispers of color, holding impatience and ivy that reach and tumble gently downward. Above, the grapevines stretch across the beams like nature's ceiling, filtering light, softening the air. Everything feels quiet here, yet nothing is still. In another space, more structured, the bottles change character. Each filled with sand, carefully poured in layers of color, like sunsets captured in glass. These form borders around bright blooms of hydrangeas and dahlias, vivid and full. They glow under daylight like polished stones, clean lines and color gradients balancing the wildness of the flowers above. And in one quiet corner, simplicity steals the moment. A farmhouse-inspired design. Conditioner bottles, now turned rustic white and faded cream, curve around a herb bed. Lavender brushes gently against rosemary. The earth beneath is dark and rich. The bottles do not demand attention. They simply hold space. This is what beauty can be, when we slow down, when we look closer, when we believe that even what's broken or empty can still offer something new. So if you've ever looked at your garden and felt like something was missing, maybe it's not a new plant. Maybe it's a new story, waiting to be planted in a bottle you already have. Five, Farmhouse-Style Bottle Border Panorama. There's a kind of beauty that belongs to the countryside. A beauty that doesn't shout, but whispers. That doesn't sparkle, but glows. In this quiet corner of a farmhouse garden, the morning sun stretches gently across the grass. Glass bottles, green, clear, and amber, stand upside down in neat rhythm, half buried like they've always belonged there. Behind them, tall sunflowers sway, lavender hums in full bloom, and daisies scatter light in every direction. There is no rush here, only the soft presence of things growing where they're meant to be. You don't need expensive tools to build something like this. Just intention, just time, just a few bottles you've saved from the everyday. In another space, a simple gravel path finds its way through flowers and into stillness. A wooden swing waits beneath the shelter of a strong oak. Lining the walkway, white and pale blue bottles mark the way, painted like they've weathered years of love. Cottage roses bloom nearby. Wildflowers open without permission. The bottles don't compete. They frame. They support. They say quietly, here is something worth pausing for. And then, in the heart of the working garden, something playful appears. Familiar shapes, ketchup, mustard, and old bottles you might have tossed yesterday, now line raised beds like a handmade fence. Their matte black frames the lettuce and carrots, holding space for growth. It's quirky. It's clever. It's proof that style doesn't have to be serious. That even the most functional corners of your yard can still carry charm. This is the spirit of farmhouse DIY. It's not about perfect lines or polished materials. It's about giving value to what we have and meaning to what we make. So, if you find yourself wondering where to begin, Maybe start with what's already around you. A bottle, a brush, a bed of soil, and a belief that the ordinary can still be extraordinary. Six, rustic bamboo and bottle garden edging. In a quiet corner of a sunlit garden, beauty takes root not just in blooms, but in intention. These are no ordinary borders. They are whispered stories of second chances, where forgotten bottles and humble bamboo come together to sketch the outline of paradise. As your footsteps trace the edge of each garden bed, you begin to realize creativity blooms where the earth meets human hands. In the first garden, playful colors invite the eye like a painter's brush on canvas. Soda bottles once discarded now stand tall, proudly painted in vibrant reds, greens, and blues. They pair with cut bamboo segments, earthy and warm, to cradle the garden's edge. Daisies smile, geraniums dance, purple salvia reaches toward the sky. It's a celebration, lit by the golden kiss of evening light. And what's more, it's incredibly simple to recreate. A touch of paint, a few bottles saved from the recycling bin, and a little patience can gift your flowers a frame as joyful as their petals. A few steps away, tranquility unfolds in whispers. Here, shampoo bottles, once vessels of routine, now hold polished river stones, their soft, rounded edges echoing peace. The bottles alternate with tall bamboo stalks, standing like quiet sentinels around a Zen retreat. Ornamental grasses sway gently in the breeze, pink azaleas bloom like watercolor brushstrokes, and the gravel underfoot crunches with soft assurance. This design doesn't just edge a garden, it outlines a state of mind. Minimal effort, maximum serenity. Just gather clear bottles, fill them with smooth stones, and nestle them into the soil alongside bamboo poles. It's meditative in its making and healing in its presence. And then, a third scene, a rustic ode to the land. Here, amber and clear glass bottles, inverted and weathered by time, are nestled between vertical bamboo stakes. Herbs flourish nearby. Cherry tomatoes blush under the sun's gaze. Marigolds stand proud in golden fire. This edging tells a story of sustenance, of gardens grown not just for beauty, but for nourishment. Using empty beer or wine bottles and a few bamboo lengths, you can create this earthy, textural rhythm that frames vegetable beds with character and calm. There's something deeply satisfying about watching your dinner grow behind a border you crafted with your own two hands. Each of these borders is more than a gardening tip, they're quiet revolutions. They prove that beauty doesn't come from spending, but from seeing potential where others see waste, and turning the ordinary into art. So take a breath. Step into your small patio or your backyard plot, and ask yourself, not what can I buy to make this space beautiful, but what can I save, reuse, and love back to life? That's where the magic begins. Seven, Seascape-Inspired Bottle Garden Border. There's something about the ocean that calls to the soul, its rhythm, its hues, its quiet strength. What if you could bring a whisper of that coastal serenity to your garden? Imagine standing at the edge of your small patio, now transformed into a gentle seascape, not with bricks or cement, but with bottles that once served a different purpose. In this quiet corner of the world, waste becomes wonder. The first garden edging evokes the shorelines of a forgotten beach. Bottles filled with white pebbles, adorned with seashells gathered from real or imagined tides, rise like tiny lighthouses around tufts of ornamental grass and the soft geometry of succulents. Each shell a memory, each stone a grain of time. These upright guardians whisper of salt-kissed winds and distant waves. Yet all you need to craft them is a few glass bottles, some gravel, and the heart to see beauty in the overlooked. Now, follow the curve of a walkway bordered by bottles dressed in every shade of the sea, from the palest foam green to the deepest turquoise. They are painted with care, standing shoulder to shoulder like the gentle ripples of a calm tide. Between them flows a river of blue gravel, meandering gracefully through blooming hostas, hydrangeas, and daisies. This design is simple, yet profound. It reminds us that transformation lies not only in grand gestures but in the artful reuse of what we already have. And then, the final stretch, a row of clear plastic jugs, layered with white sand and blue-tinted water. They glisten beneath the sun, shimmering like tidal pools kissed by moonlight. They form a wave of color, a tactile illusion of movement that brings energy to the stillness of the garden. The technique is straightforward. Play with layers, embrace contrast, and let the light do the rest. Even a plastic bottle, often discarded, can become a vessel for visual poetry. What ties these designs together isn't just their oceanic charm. It's the intention. The slow, deliberate act of turning trash into tranquility. So take a moment. Breathe in the inspiration. Gather your bottles, your paint, your stones, and with just your hands and a little time, you can turn your garden into a shoreline sanctuary. A place that feels far from the noise of the world, yet made entirely from its remnants. Because beauty doesn't ask for perfection, only presence. And presence, in a garden like this, feels like waves washing endlessly over the heart. Eight, Thrifty Tiny Yard Bottle Fence. In the quiet warmth of a backyard morning, where the sun filters softly through leaves and time seems to slow down, creativity blossoms at the edge of the garden. Here, a humble fence made not of steel or stone, but of forgotten bottles reborn in color and purpose, tells a story of transformation, of resourcefulness meeting beauty. The first creation greets you with a burst of joy, a wall built entirely of horizontally stacked bottles, each one carefully filled with layers of dyed sand. Burnt orange, sea green, turquoise, and sky blue. Stripes of color mimic the warmth of desert clay and the cool serenity of ocean waves. Against this backdrop, pansies and snapdragons sway gently, echoing the same palette in their blooms. This isn't just a border, it's a living mural. A tip? Use bottles of similar shape and size for a cleaner finish, and mix your sand with a bit of glitter for that extra sparkle under sunlight. As we step further into this tiny paradise, we're welcomed by a cheerful garden square, tiny in size, but abundant in life. Around it stands a tiny picket-style fence, not crafted from wood but from upright plastic bottles, each painted in soft pastel tones of terracotta, blush, and dusty blue. The garden they embrace is lush with tidy rows of lettuce, round tomatoes, and the gentle green tops of ripening carrots. It's an ideal choice for those who garden with children, or for anyone longing to bring a piece of nature into a small space. A quiet suggestion: choose food-safe bottles and give them a matte coat for a more natural, wooden look. And then, tucked into a cozy corner beneath the trees, emerges an intimate sitting space surrounded by a fence of upright green soda bottles. The repetition of their forms creates a rhythmic, almost musical visual harmony, allowing dappled sunlight to dance between the rows. Hung from wooden frames, flowering baskets spill over in waves of ivy and trailing petunias, making the entrance feel like the gateway to a secret garden. It's proof that even the most overlooked materials, like old bottles destined for the bin, can become part of a tranquil retreat. Secure them with metal wire or twine across sturdy wooden posts, and don't shy away from incorporating planters for vertical interest. Each of these designs isn't just about saving money, it's about reimagining the everyday. It's a practice in seeing beauty where others see waste, in choosing peace and patience over perfection. And most of all, it's about creating a space that feels wholly your own, crafted with care, intention, and love. So gather your bottles, pick up a brush, and let your garden whisper its colors into your hands. Your patio doesn't need to be big to be beautiful. It just needs you and a little imagination. Nine, Japanese garden bottle landscape edging. In a quiet garden nestled between the warm wooden fences and a flourishing canopy of spring cherry blossoms, something unexpectedly poetic takes form, not from nature, but from what many would discard. Recycled bottles, once forgotten and emptied of purpose, now rise again with clarity and grace, their forms repurposed into a border that defines, protects, and enchants. The first garden edging whispers tranquility. Upside-down bottles cradle layers of smooth river stones and emerald moss, creating a living sculpture that gently traces the curve of flower beds. There is a rhythm in their repetition, a visual mantra that blends harmoniously with the dwarf bamboo, hostas, and a blushing cherry tree. It's not just landscaping, it's a meditation. And the beauty lies not only in its final form, but in its making. You only need clean bottles, a collection of pebbles, some gathered moss, and a love for slowing down. Let your hands follow your heart, bottle by bottle. Turn the corner, and a different story unfolds. Here, the palette deepens into monochrome. Bottles painted in delicate gradients, from light ash to deep charcoal, form a bold, modern edge along a gravel path, reminiscent of a Japanese rock garden. It is minimalist, yet not cold. Balanced and intentional, the colors echo the ferns and fallen camellia petals around them. What was once waste becomes a design statement, showing how elegance can emerge from restraint and simplicity. This idea is perfect for those who lean toward understated aesthetics, yet want something deeply personal and handmade. Paint, patience, and planning, that's all it takes. Then, in the last image, we find perhaps the most contemplative scene of all. Glass bottles, clear and subtly tinted, stand in silence among moss and miniature trees. They are partially filled with white sand and pebbles, each one different, each one telling its own quiet tale. These bottles don't shout for attention, they invite it. With every placement, the edge of this space becomes more than a boundary, it becomes part of a ritual. Around them, raked gravel forms sacred circles, and soft green pine needles reach down like blessings. There is peace here, a reminder that creation can be mindful and deeply rooted in intention. What makes these designs remarkable isn't just their visual charm, but the message they carry. Beauty is all around us, waiting to be noticed, revived, and given new life. So next time you find a bottle in your hand, ask yourself, not what can I throw away, but what can I create? Your tiny patio may be just a few feet wide, but within it lies endless potential for artistry, sustainability, and soul. Cutest Bottle Gazebo Planter Border. In the gentle hush of a golden afternoon, where sunlight dances softly upon the white rails of a wooden gazebo, something quietly magical takes root. Here, in the embrace of nature's calm, discarded bottles, once forgotten and ordinary, are reborn as cheerful, blooming companions. The first scene welcomes you with pastel-painted juice bottles, each one turned into a tiny character, their painted faces smiling sweetly beneath tufts of life. Lavender spikes stretch like tiny arms greeting the sun. Miniature roses bloom with the innocence of a child's laughter, and succulents, timeless in their geometry, nestle in the soil like little secrets. Placed horizontally and playfully connected, they form an edging that feels like a row of friends guarding your garden dreams. It's an enchanting reminder that sustainability can carry a sense of humor and charm. As you step forward, the story deepens. Transparent bottles, buried upside down into the rich earth, shimmer with the glow of colored marbles inside, each bead capturing and refracting light like a raindrop frozen in time. From the tops, pansies and violas bloom boldly in violet, yellow, and indigo, their velvet petals fluttering in the morning breeze. This is not just a border, it's a playful ring of color surrounding the gazebo like nature's own mosaic. The use of marbles not only adds visual wonder but cleverly provides root support and drainage, all while enchanting the eye. And then there's the final flourish, a border that sings of joy. Wine bottles dressed in polka dots and sherbet shades, blush pinks, mint greens, and sky blues, stand upright like a chorus of summer. Crowned with petunias and daisies, they frame the lush lawn like a celebration frozen mid-dance. The gazebo behind, kissed by climbing vines and shaded beneath delicate blooms, becomes a fairy-tale hideaway. This DIY border is a gentle act of celebration, of life, of seasons, and of the little things we often overlook. Each edging tells its own quiet tale of transformation. A bottle once cast aside now becomes a vessel of beauty and meaning. These ideas aren't just about decor. They're about mindful creation, about pausing, looking again, and seeing the potential in what we already have. So take a moment with your garden. Let your hands craft with intention. Paint with joy. Fill with love. Because even the smallest patio can hold stories worth telling, and borders made not just with bottles, but with hope, care, and imagination. If this video meant something to you, please know that subscribing means the world to me. You're not just supporting content, you're supporting a dream that keeps my family going. Thank you, truly. I'd also love to hear from you. What did you enjoy the most? Is there anything I could do better to keep inspiring or simply entertaining you? Your feedback helps this channel grow with heart and purpose. Let me know in the comments. I read every one.